Alright, so while I'm here on this job, I told a young man that I'd make a video for him on how to quote mulch jobs and rock jobs and anything else. Alright, so what you're going to do, say if you was going to quote this job right here, right? Alright, so you're going to have to measure the width, which is going to be from right here where the flower bed starts, back there to the wall. And just for grins and giggles, we'll say that's 10 feet. Alright, and then I'd measure it right there where the bricks come out on the porch, all the way to the end of the flower bed. And we'll say, for grins and giggles, that's 40 feet, all right? So then you do 10 times 40, which would be 400 square feet, and that would tell you that you're gonna need 4 yards of mulch. Now, if, and I'll say this too, like most of the time if I'm quoting this job, like see there's an extra 10 feet right there. Well, I would just go ahead and quote the whole run, even that skinny part, the whole run by the thickest part. And then even though that's gonna I'm gonna overquote the mulch, that's okay, because at least I won't run short. And if you don't do it like that, that's how I would do it. Now, spots where you have curbs, basically you just wanna square it off. So from the corner of the house, I'd measure out to the furthest point of the bed, and then I would, square that in there, and then I'd do the same thing over here, measure out to the deepest part, and then I'd run that section all the way out to here, to the end of the bed. I'll draw a drawing on some paper and kind of show y'all what I'm talking about. That way you know exactly how I'm saying you need to quote these flower beds. Basically, everybody that I've been seeing that's been talking about mulch jobs, they say a yard of mulch is 2 to 3 inches thick, a 10 by 10 area. Well, before I really got into landscaping, I did a lot of construction, and in concrete, when you quote a yard, it is a 10 by 10 area at 3.5 inches thick, which concrete is a little different. It is different than mulch, but I'm just saying, like, that's how I've come to know what a yard is. Mulch, though, they're probably right. 2 to 3 inches of mulch is a 10 by 10. And on pine straw, it's a little different. Pine straw seems like it never works out to a 10 by 10. So I usually quote it on an 8 by 8. So one bale will cover an 8 by 8 area. And sometimes it's a little less. Like your pine straw bales, they're not always exactly the same. But I'll get back with y'all in a little bit, and I'll draw all this out on paper and show you exactly how you need to quote mulch. Alright, what up, y'all? This is Brandon. So the other day I was walking through a yard, and I was kind of showing you how I would measure it out, and I told y'all I'd write down on some paper, draw like a little diagram, and then show you exactly how from a better viewpoint on paper, I can show you exactly how I would quote the mulch, rock, or pine straw. Either way, mulch and rock on a yard, it's a 10 by 10. Like I said, when I do pine straw, this is just the way I like to do it. I do it on an 8 by 8 just because pine straw usually don't seem to go as far. Alright, so I got this diagram drawn out, and as you can see, this flower bed from the top of the house all the way out to the far point of the bed is 40 feet. And then I've also showed you from the house to the furthest point out, where these curves run out, it's 10 feet. So when I'm measuring this house off for mulch, I'm going to go with the furthest point out. So like if this front flower bed came even out further, I would go with that. But for simplicity's sake, they're all the same. All right, so when I'm measuring this bed off, forgive me, I'm holding this camera in my hand, but I'm gonna measure it off like this. All right, and as you can see, all these areas I'm overkilling it with the mulch, but that's good. That's going to give me extra mulch. So I got a 10 by 40 area. That's how I would quote that. That'd be 4 yards of mulch. And then this area here, we're going to say the furthest point is still 10. And then this is 15. Excuse me. All right, so I'm going to do 10 by 15, which is 150 square feet. That's going to give me 1.5 yards of mulch. And that's how I would quote. So this flower bed over here would be excuse me, exactly the same. 1.5 yards. And then we got 4 yards on this side. So on this house, you're going to come up with 5.5, 5.5, and that would do all the flower beds that are on the house. So that'd be, 11 yards. Good grief. So anyway, as much waste as there is, though, you could bump it down just a little and say, yeah, 10 yards would probably do it. But that gives you an idea. When I quote mulch jobs, that's exactly how I do it. I'd rather have more mulch than I need than not enough. At least I know I'm charging enough for the mulch. So that's how, when I go and quote a mulch job or a rock job, that's how I do it. And like I said, I personally, if it's pine straw, I do it on an 8x8, which is 64 square feet instead of 100. If there's any questions or anything else I can help y'all with, just leave a comment. If you hadn't subscribed, please subscribe, hit that subscribe button. And if there's anything y'all need some information on, I think I just said this, but let me know and I'll do my best to do a video on it. All right, hope everybody's having a good day. Peace.